Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on 2021 Ram 1500 5th gen Ram, and we are going to be doing front, rear diff, and transfer case service. Now the service manuals for the Ram 1500 recommends differential services every 30,000 miles, and I believe the transfer case is every 40. So I'm at 39,000 on this, a little late on the diffs, but I just got the truck with 38,000 miles on it, so I'm going to go ahead and do the diffs, and we're going to do the transfer case while we're at it. On my Ram 1500 with my gear ratio, I've got 321 rears, calls for 7190 gear oil in the rear diff, with limited slip additive because I have a limited slip diff. Front diff takes 80 W90, but 75 W90 will work fine up front. The transfer case, now you definitely have to look into this. Now I've got a Borg-Warner 44 transfer case in mine, and this takes a special lubricant. Had to get this through my local Jeep Dodge dealer, and this stuff was about $43 a quart, and you need 2 quarts of that. I definitely recommend looking up and seeing what transfer case you have in your vehicle to be sure that you have the correct fluid. Otherwise, the changing of the fluid procedure for either front diff, rear diff, or the transfer case will be the same. So I think we're going to go ahead and start right with the front diff. Here is our fill plug, here is our drain plug. We're going to go ahead and get the Allen head key to go ahead and open these up. We always open the fill plug first, so because if you ever have any problems opening that, you don't want to have fluid drained out and unable to fill it back up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those tools, and we will get started with that. Okay, a little bit of a funky angle there as we break these free. All right, there's our, before we drain that fluid out. Perfect. Open up our fill plug. There's our fill plug. And now we'll pull the drain plug out. There we go. And there we have our drain plug. Okay, so now we'll just let this drain out. Then when we fill it, it takes, I believe the spec says about a quart and a quarter, quart and a third. And you're gonna basically, like any other diff, you're gonna close this back up, and you're gonna fill through this hole till the oil starts to dribble out. Let it come to the point where the dribble just about stops, and that should have it even with the bottom of that hole. Close it up, and you are done. Go. Okay, drain plug's back in. Snug that up. Don't kill it. This is an aluminum housing. And now we're going to go ahead. We've got our oil set up and a pump. It's going to take me 2 hands to pump that in. So I'm going to put the drain pan back underneath it, pump it till it starts dribbling out, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like and get this one finished off. And there we go. This one is full. You can see the excess is draining out. It's right now it's a steady stream. I'm going to wait till that turns to a little bit more of a drip, and then we're going to go ahead and close that up and clean up that little bit of mess on there, and we're all done on the front. Okay, we're on to the rear axle here. Here is our fill plug for the rear, and here is our drain plug for the rear. There was, I believe, some earlier, I think it was the 4th gen and possibly some of the earlier 5th gen, where they actually just had a rubber plug in the diff here, in the diff cover. But this one obviously has fill plugs in the housing. Mine has a 321 rear gear ratio. So that was, like I said, was 75 W90. I believe when you get into some of the lower gear ratios, they then start recommending 75 W140. personally, I think you probably could run either one. I think if you do a lot of towing, you're better off doing the 75W140. But I'm going to put the 75W90 in it for right now. So we're going to go ahead and get set up to pull the fill plug out and then pull that drain plug out and let this drain out. Okay, the fill plug, just like the front diff, the drain and fill are the same as this one. They're an 8mm Allen head. Take that out. And then the drain plug is quite a bit bigger. As you can see there, this one is a 14mm. Just make sure we position that so we catch that fluid when it comes out. Okay, so we're going to let that drain, and then just like the front diff, once that drains out completely, we'll put the fill plug back in, snug that up. Then we will go ahead and fill the housing till this fills up to the bottom of the hole and starts to flow out, and then we'll close that up, and then the rear diff will be done. All right, and our drain plug is in, and as you can see, filled this up, and now it's streaming out that fill hole. And I will let that slow down a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and cap that. Now I basically bought 4 quarts of a gallon of gear oil, and that did both the front and rear diff with a little bit left over. So 4 quarts pretty much will do both front and rear on this. Gonna go ahead and put the fill plug back in and seal this up. All right, so that wraps up the rear diff, all sealed up, cleaned up any excess. So now the rear is all done. So now we're going to move on to the transfer case. All right, very easy to get to. Fill plug, drain plug, same procedure. This is a 3/8 head, like a 3/8 ratchet. So we use a 3/8 ratchet with a small extension. Make it nice and easy. Loosen those up, take those out, drain that fluid out, fill it, seal it up, and the transfer case will be all done. So let me go ahead and grab the ratchet for that and get ready to drain that out. Okay, so like with the front and the rear diff, we're going to start with our fill plug. Take that out. Make sure that we can get that out okay. All right. And now we will go to the drain plug. And as you can see, that looks almost like a gear oil. A lot of transfer cases on these vehicles take transmission fluid. This, I mean, that looks almost like motor oil in there. So definitely a different fluid than some of the other vehicles, but definitely check to make sure that you get the correct fluid for your transfer case. So we're going to let that drain. We'll come back and we're ready to put the drain plug back in. All right, drain plug is back in. We're going to go ahead and fill this just like the front and rear diff. We fill it till it starts to come out the hole. And now that I brought some light over here, you can actually see that it does say drain and it actually says fill right by the drain and the fill hole there. So I'm going to go ahead and get that filled up, and I will come back when we are, as it's draining itself down, before we go ahead and seal it back up. Okay, just so I figured I'd show just how dark that fluid was that came out of this transfer case. You can see how light that fluid that's going in is. All right, as you can see, the transfer case is now full. Just letting that drip out. And then we're gonna go ahead and seal it up. It's starting to drip, slow down a little bit. It took about 1 3/4 quarts, a little, you know, between 1.5 quarts and 1 3/4 quarts. I know some definitely spilled out. It is an expensive fluid, so you want to be a little more cautious on this one, so you're not wasting it. But all right, so we're gonna snug that up, and we will clean this up and come back and wrap this up. All right, transfer case is all sealed up, wiped down, nothing's leaking. Rear diff looks good, no drips or leaks there. And front diff, everything is sealed up there. So that does it. That is the procedure for changing the fluid on the front and rear diff and transfer case on a 5th gen 2019 to 2024 Ram 1500. Hope this helps anybody out there doing the same job. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to leave them below. If you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much and have a nice day.